So here we are in the kitchen at the Potato House, and I wanted to share with you one of the things that challenges us here. We want to put it back to the way it was in 1941 in that era, but sometimes finding the information that gets us back to that time period can be a little bit harder. So we knew that originally the walls here in the Potato House, the kitchen, would have been wallpapered, but we didn't know what the print was. We had a hint in this tiny little hole right here, and you can just see behind the grime, the wire, some prints of red and white. Now we're not going to be pulling the drywall off to try and find the rest of the print of the wallpaper anytime soon, but we'd like to put wallpaper on top of this drywall. So we're wondering, how are we going to find that information? So we tried a couple things. The first thing we tried is we looked in the cupboards. So we thought if we just open these cupboards and look at the back, you know, behind the crock pots, but there's actually nothing to see down there except for some space heaters. And then we tried, you know, well, maybe they're behind the cupboards because they wouldn't have put drywall behind the cupboards. But this stuff is glued in there so hard, we can't pull it out and have it look any good. So we want to be able to investigate but still maintain the integrity of the house. So, okay, we'll try that. But we still haven't had any luck trying to find the answers. What did the wallpaper look like? We've had some people who lived here in the 50s come through, or even guests who said, oh yeah, I remember there was wallpaper. Do you remember what it looked like? No, but it wasn't gray. That's not very helpful. So we looked through magazines that were available in the 1930s, wallpaper sample books, and thought, you know, like, what are the colors of the house in that time period? What is the style that we would have seen? It would have been sort of like a post-Art Deco. But we can't, we're picking out of the air, like, oh, generally red printed wallpaper. Like, there's a gazillion styles. And then, when we had that same fabulous electrician who found the shoes, rummaging around in the house, running our electrical in our uninsulated walls, it's just like a big empty hole. Now, that is technically insulation. It's sort of like when you get into a sleeping bag, and the sleeping bag's not too tight, that airspace between you and the outside, that's the warm part in the sleeping bag, and that's how these old houses are designed. But when he cut the holes to put the new electrical panels in, out pops a piece of the wall, and the drywall fell off, and right behind it was a piece of the original wallpaper. This gave us a much more representative sample of the style of wallpaper that would have been here at the Potato House. So of course, the very next day I was on the internet, searching pattern books, Googling, seeing if I can find a picture of the wallpaper so that I can get the pattern and the repeat, so we can put it back up in the house. Now we haven't had any luck yet, but I know this old paddle wheeler in Caslow, and they wanted to find their wallpaper. They had a tiny sample, and they sent it to the Smithsonian Institute in Washington State, where they have a wallpaper database. So they have everything from curtains to wallpaper. So we're going to be sending this down to the Smithsonian, a photo of it, and see if they have a record of the pattern and the repeat so that we can get it reproduced. So it will hang again in the kitchen of the Potato House with a beautiful red painted wallpaper.